thank you, everybody. This is the last session of the day. Ricardo and I have the responsibility of taking you through the last thing. We appreciate you being here. Hopefully you've had a good summit. So, the last session of the day, isn't that cool? Well, this talk is a bit of an imagination talk. Imagine if you can only use a few lines of code to actually add super cool AI functionality to your web and mobile apps. Well, today we're going to be talking about how you can do just that with AWS Amplify and the Amplify AI Kit. My name is Julian Wood, and I'm a developer advocate here at AWS, and I love talking about serverless, and AI is, of course, a great thing to explore.
Hello, everyone, and my name is Ricardo Suarez. I'm also a developer advocate at AWS, and I like helping developers be successful on AWS. Specifically, if you're interested in next generation AI coding tools like Amazon Q Developer, I'd love to speak to you.
Cool. Now, because this is the last session of the day, I'm going to ask yourselves to give all yourselves a super loud round of applause, because it's going to make the other people realize that they're in the wrong session. So you ready? 1, 2, 3, go.
Julian, I've just realized there is a giant, oh, it's me now, but there's a giant version of us there as well, which is so cool.
Cool, excellent. So the other two sessions are jealous, and you're in the right place. So here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about what is AWS Amplify and what is the Amplify AI Kit. We're going to talk about what are the Gen AI tools that we use when building a full stack application.
Yeah, we've got lots of demos, so they're video recorded, we can't do them live, where we're going to take an existing application and we're going to add some AI capabilities into it.
And also we're going to look at how you can actually use your existing data within your organization to make your AI more useful and relevant with your specific data. And then we're going to finish up about how you can actually use AI coding tools, because they're always going to be helpful in these kind of applications. So let me start with a quick audience check. How many of you have actually heard of AWS Amplify? Please raise your hands. Cool, that is a good representation. So excellent, we do have a mix here. We've got some familiar faces who I recognize as well, which is lovely to see you, who've also worked with Amplify, and others who will be discovering it for the first time. So for those of you who raised your Amplify hand, just give yourself a pause, and I'm going to explain a little bit of Amplify for those of you who haven't. Amplify is designed to be your one-stop solution for building full-stack web and native mobile applications. It's easy to start, and really importantly, it is actually easy to scale. And Amplify focuses on there's sort of two main jobs to be done. One is Amplify hosting. So this is hosting and a front end with static assets, or maybe built with an SSR, so you can use a framework like, I don't know, Next.js or Nuxt or something, and it's also got CI/CD built in. And there's some cool functionality I often particularly use to host some websites. If everyone's used serverless land, that's all hosted on Amplify. And then 2 is actually building the whole back-end infrastructure for your application. So this is adding things like maybe you're going to have APIs, or you're going to have databases, or you're going to have storage, or you're going to have authentication. So that's the second part of Amplify. So who here has heard of Amplify Gen 2?
Okay.
Not as many hands, which means this is a great opportunity to explain what Gen 2 is. So last year we introduced Amplify Gen 2, and this is built fully with TypeScript. You need some authentication, well, build it with TypeScript. You need some data built on top of DynamoDB, use TypeScript. You need some serverless functions with Lambda, well, you're going to use TypeScript. So you sort of get the idea, actually everything is defined in TypeScript. And it's actually all built with the AWS Cloud Development Kit, the CDK. So that means it's fully extensible as the CDK is, so you can literally connect to more than 200 AWS services really easily when you need to. So with full stack deployment environments, you can also deploy your full stack app on each Git push, and then each developer has got their own sandbox environment. So this is very helpful for segregating environments. Now, it's worth realizing that Gen 2 is actually a major upgrade from Gen 1. So if you have tried Gen 1 and you're like, it didn't quite work for me, or perhaps you needed more scale, or maybe you found it hard to extend, well, this is what Gen 2 was built for. And so it's certainly worth having another look at Gen 2, which makes all of these things much more easier. So when building your backend with Amplify, you're actually going to be using a whole bunch of different AWS services. Now, you could all use these services yourself. You can connect all of them together, but we all know that's a little bit of hard work. So this is actually why Amplify exists. Amplify has hosting as its own product, but the rest of the Amplify backend is this clever interaction using CDK TypeScript to bind together all of these other AWS services, so you don't have to do it yourself. So from databases, we've got a primary option, DynamoDB. This is managed NoSQL serverless in the cloud. And of course, you can use RDS for many different flavors of SQL databases. You can also use GraphQL creation using AppSync, and also you can use third-party MySQL and PostgreSQL databases. From an API layer, again, you can use AppSync from GraphQL for this, and AppSync also allows real-time capabilities for your application. But if you're a REST API kind of person, as many people are, you can also use API Gateway and plug that into Amplify. Serverless functions, I'm a huge Lambda fan. I do a lot with Lambda, and Lambda Amplify allows you to easily add Lambda to add serverless functions to your application, where you're going to maybe run some of your critical business logic. And also you can set up various triggers for various different kinds of workflows. If you've got authentication, obviously important in a web or mobile app, Amazon Cognito plugs seamlessly into Amplify to be able to do your secure user management and the authentication. You need some back-end storage. Well, S3 is the biggest sort of storage thing on the whole planet probably, and this is really easy to plug in. And the point of this is these are just some of the services. The whole story with Amplify is extensibility. You can use these building blocks, but you can add anything else you want to do yourself because it is just CDK. So now that we have a solid understanding of Amplify, let's talk about the AI.
Yeah, sounds pretty interesting, right? But I'm here to talk to you about something that I think was launched last year, which is the Amplify AI Kit. So what this does is it actually builds kind of like on kind of some of the stuff that Julian's talked about, and it's going to be what we're going to be talking about for the rest of today. So the AI Kit, Amplify AI Kit, it's a code-first developer experience that lets you incorporate generative AI into your applications completely in TypeScript. So you don't have to worry about being Python developer. This is all in TypeScript. And it kind of builds on the capabilities that Julian talked about, where we've got that back-end integration for data and storage and authentication, but allows you to easily incorporate generative AI. With kind of Gen 2, we also have the kind of the Amplify sandbox. So people familiar with the Amplify sandbox? Not so many. So this allows you to easily iterate locally and then sync up your back end with your front end. And we're going to see, well, we're not going to see that in the demo, but it's kind of a key part to helping improve the developer experience as you're coding with Gen 2 Amplify. Now, in addition to just kind of like generating the kind of the information on your resources, what kind of like you can do is kind of access data from within your applications, and that's kind of like important because when you're incorporating Gen AI with your own data, one of the kind of the key things is to make sure that you understand how to do that securely and in a safe way. And the Amplify AI Kit, easy for me to say, is something that allows you to give your large language models kind of like secure access to your data, no matter where it is, and we're going to see that in the demos today. The AI Kit also kind of helps you build conversational applications with kind of like thanks to some built-in UI components, kind of React and kind of React hooks that kind of take care of all the undifferentiated heavy lifting around, the history, the kind of the conversation, managing the sort of like text flow, the conversation flow, that kind of thing. So yeah, so pretty cool stuff there. So over to you, Julian.
So, well, enough about the theory. Anybody keen to delve into some real code? You want to look at some code? So I'm going to tell you a bit of a secret. I actually love my food. In fact, probably a little bit too much. So seriously, you are partly to blame because your meatballs and your cinnamon buns are ridiculously good. And I mean that. But this means I maybe need to do a little bit more with my fitness. And like many developers, of course you can do, there's an easy option. Of course there must be an app for this which I can download it. But instead of just finding one, we thought, you know what, Amplify would be a perfect opportunity to showcase an app for that. And so our awesome colleague Sully, we worked all together and built one using the power of Amplify's AI Kit. So let me show you the Workout Companion app, which has got several AI capabilities, and we can actually implement with just a few lines of code. So let me walk you through our starter application, which hasn't got much in it yet. As you can see, we already have some core features done. We've got an authentication flow for user management. We've got a dashboard showing some of the workout history with statistical analysis. We've got, you can manually create workloads, so you can just enter them in, what you've done this morning or done this afternoon. However, what is missing would be a really cool AI assistant page. So what we'd like to build is a workout analyzer. And so we're going to build this together today with the code I'm going to show. And so this AI-powered feature is going to transform this sort of basic fitness tracker into a cool, smart workout companion. Now let's enhance our app with our first AI feature. We're going to add this workout analyzer. And the Amplify AI kit offers two primary approaches for generating AI content. So you've got one-off generation. So this is the content based on maybe a single input. You've got a single thing, do something to the model, and this is ideal for quick stateless analysis or transformations. And then, as Ricardo mentioned earlier, there is conversations. So you want to build in conversational interactions. We're going to build this in the app because this is going to maintain a conversation history. It's going to actually store it in DynamoDB. We'll get to that. And it allows for context-aware, ongoing interactions. So for our workout analyzer, let's start with the one-off approach, as it's perfect for analyzing individual workout sessions without having to maintain any session state in the back end. So let's dive into the code and actually see how simple it is to build with the Amplify AI kit. So this is what the Amplify backend configuration code looks like to build our workout analyzer's capability using the AI kit. And as we have an existing data flow, which is part of the app, which we're now going to build on. If you have a look at it, it's TypeScript, just standard TypeScript. So the key part I want to highlight here is the generation keyword. And this means we're doing a generation operation. It means we're creating a one-off response based on an input without having to maintain any conversation history. So this is perfect for our workout analyzer because what we want to do is we want to analyze individual workout sessions and do that independently. So the two essential components required for a generation operation. The first is the AI model. And this lets you choose an LLM, which are available via Amazon Bedrock, and this has got a huge selection to choose from. Ricardo, do you know offhand how many models does Bedrock have? No idea. Loads.
Loads. And there's obviously a model marketplace as well.
Yeah, and a model marketplace, so literally loads. I mean, think of Anthropic, Cohere, A21 Labs. Amazon Nova's got great models as well for a good price point, and of course there are many more. And then Amplify, its TypeScript, also provides built-in intelligence support, so even while you're writing your code, you can have the model selection easier from the predefined list. Now, it is an important note, some people get this wrong when we were building this application, we made this mistake as well, is you need to make sure that the model is available in your specific region and you have actually enabled access to the model. Otherwise, maybe you're going to waste quite a bit of time, as we did, trying to get this all working. So, something to think about. And then the second part is the prompt. And the system prompt actually becomes your assistant's personality and the base kind of knowledge. And this is where you define what you want your AI model to do. It's the standard system prompt. And you can just think of this simply as the instructions to your AI. So let's explore more how you can make an AI generation more structured and type safe. So Amplify's AI kit allows us to pass arguments into your prompt. And so these are the specific parameters that your prompt can use. And then also, coolly, you can define custom return types. And this allows you to specify the exact response that you're expecting from your AI response. So both of these variables can be interpolated into your prompt template, and the context object provides both of them, and this gives you type checking during your development, structured data and responses, which we all like, and then a better developer experience with that autocomplete. So a crucial aspect of application security in anything in production is security. And look at this. This is pretty simple. Amplify's AI kit handles this all with fine-grained authorization rules. And just like lots of other Amplify resources, you can precisely control who can access the AI features, what operations you want them to be able to perform, and maybe under what conditions. That's actually all you really need to do on the back end. So when you save this file, Amplify can deploy the necessary infrastructure to run it locally. So there is an Amplify sandbox. If you're not aware, just click save and the sandbox will refresh. So that's a really way for a really good developer experience for doing things locally. And of course, you can then deploy it into the cloud. So let's switch gears and see how we can integrate this API capability and what we're going to build on our front end. So I hate to warn you, it's only 5 lines of code. It's only 5 lines of code. That's all you need to bring AI capabilities to your front end. So we'll focus on a key element here, which is the client object. And it's going to serve as the central gateway to all of our data resources. And it's a complete type-safe interface to our data schema and becomes the reference manager for all of our AI capabilities. And if you think about it, what makes this sort of powerful is actually all of your API calls are automatically type-checked. That's why you're building TypeScript and makes it great. You've got using your IDE, you've got intelligence support, so everything's just easily for a good developer experience. And then this also means that your front end syncs with your back end schema, and again, keeps things nice and simple and together. So when it comes to implementing AI features in your React component, Amplify actually gives you 2 flexible approaches. You can use direct client calls, and this is where your code calls the client object directly, and this is great for non-React contexts. But many people building React, you can obviously use React hooks. And in this case, they use AI generation hook for one-off generations, and this provides a sort of more natural, more React or React Native way of handling the AI operations. And then this manages all of the states and also automatically handles all of the errors. So the use AI generation hook simplifies your implementation. It provides you everything you need in a clean package, and you get a whole bunch of stuff just out of the box, so you don't have to do anything else. The data thing is what you're getting back as your response. Loading is the actual state of the loading of your query. The training data for our application is the function, which is then going to trigger the AI operation. And then, in addition to that, you've also got a has error flag, and this checks the error state alongside the message properties for the backend responses. So if you look at this, what don't you need to do? Well, you don't need to write any of the custom loading logic, any of the API call handling, the error handling logic, or some of the state management. This is all handled for you by the AI kit. So this lets you focus on using the AI capabilities rather than managing the infrastructure around them. So in a scenario that we pass in the workload items, we call the analyze training function from the use AI generation tool, hook with the parameters we want to pass. And then once the data is going to be received, well, you will check if it is null. You can also make it non-nullable if you want, and then you're just going to display it and show it on the front end or within your mobile app. So let's see our workout analyzer in action. As you can see, when I click the workout analyze button, the AI processes the workout details, and it's going to provide comprehensive analysis, all with just these few lines of code. So you can see I've zoomed in here, and you've got a really great analysis of your workout, just simply created with a few lines of code in AI. So behind the scenes, the workout data is passed to the AI function. The loading state then automatically handles all of the UI feedback. The response is formatted according to our defined type, and everything stays type safe and performant. That is pretty cool, right? So next up, we're going to take our app to the next level by talking about conversational. We wanted a conversational workout assistant. We want to talk to our AI to maybe even get a little bit fitter. So unlike a previous one-off analyzer, this is going to be a multi-turn conversational approach. And this means users can have an ongoing conversation with the AI. The system's going to remember the previous interactions. Responses are going to be contextual based on what you've had before. And then you're going to get continual feedback and guidance. So remember I mentioned earlier there were two approaches? Well, this is where we'll use the second approach for AI content creation, the conversation model instead of one-off generation. Key difference in this implementation is it's going to actually store the conversation history in DynamoDB, maintain that context between the interactions, and then, this obviously allows for more back and forth communication, a chat style interface. So let's have a look how we can implement this. Looking at the backend code again, we can see we need to build our workout assistant with the Amplify AI kit. And we focus on the change in implementation. So instead of generation, when you're generating something, we'll use conversation. And this is going to bring some important differences. We obviously need some conversation state, so it's going to store it in Dynamo, maintain the context, and allow the model to reference the previous messages. Again, I mentioned the state management, so it allows to resume the previous conversations and just keeps track of everything so it knows what's going on. But the beauty of using the Amplify AI kit is all this complexity is handled for you, setting up the tables, managing the storage, maintaining the conversation flow, while keeping our implementation just as simple. So just like a previous generation implementation, the conversation setup requires the same two components, an AI model, select from the various Bedrock models with the same intelligence as support applies, and of course you need to make sure that the model is available in your region. Again, the prompt is your personality that tells the LLM the sort of what you're going to be doing and is the conversational starter. So it's important to think about that actually there's no difference. And this familiar structure makes it easy to transition between one-off generations. And if you decide you want to introduce a conversation later on, well, the underlying functionality is the same, just a little bit more complex behind the scenes, but this code is going to be quite similar. So again, we now need to think about authorization rules for this conversation factor because we want to set the authorization level to owner. And this means each conversation is only private to the person who creates it, which makes sense. So that only the user can look at the conversation history. They're the only ones who can add messages and access their previous sessions. No other user can see any other user with these conversations, which would make sense. So let's see the front-end code for this. Just like generation, anything related to data needs a client. So we're going to set up the client. And this time, though, we're going to use the AI conversation for the conversation. So the AI conversations, it's a pretty easy to use React component to connect your conversation flow and create a chat experience. So the user AI generation hook, you'll notice it feels very familiar. The hook provides us with loading, same loading state as before, the messages, which now contains the full conversation history, and this handle send message. And this is the function to then send new messages back to your LLM. Again, reiterating, just like before, so much stuff is handled for you. The message state management, the conversation history tracking, loading states, all the error handling just bundled into this thing. And so the difference of this hook is that you've got a conversation history and the multi-turn interactions, and that's the difference between the one-off generation. So for creating the chat flow, the AI conversation component from the library handles all the UI stuff for you. All you need to do is pass in the hook variable and let the component manage the chat interface and handle the conversation flow automatically. So it's going to take care of a whole bunch of things like real-time updates, error displays, the input handling, the rendering, and all the kind of things just to get that onto your front end. So you can see here we have a chat layout now with an input field and also loading state with the streaming answers. So I always say hello because I feel better being polite to my AI assistant. And then I ask it about training for upper body, and the AI is going to respond. Now, the chat is aware that it's a workout assistant and then helps the user accordingly based on what that is. So here we go. We've got a bit of a conversational flow, and then everything comes from just those few lines of code we created. And we get a response suggesting a workout, which I'm not quite sure yet. I'll have to try it out, but which may or may not just help to reduce 1 or 2 of those bites of those yummy cinnamon buns. Can't be guaranteed, especially if I have more of them.
Okay. That's a lot of knowledge there to consume. But we're going to shift now. So far, what we've done is we've used Amplify. You've used Amplify to kind of like assess our workouts, add that chat capability, providing the LLM with our workout data. But what if we wanted to give our applications access to information or capabilities outside of the realm of the LLM we're using? This is where tools come in. Sometimes they're referred to as function calling. Now, tools are a relatively kind of new concept in the generative AI space. Now, these are, for folks who are kind of very keen on the kind of the model context protocol, MCP, and the tool space, this is not that. Okay, similar in concept, but what they do is they allow the LLMs to kind of fetch some data or take some action on the user's behalf, and it allows models to get information about the current state of the world, or give them access to data within your own organization. So how does it work then? So it starts when you're defining a tool. And you provide it details of what inputs you are expecting that it needs. Once you define that, you define a prompt. And it's that prompt that matches when that tool is going to be used. And when it's going to be invoked as part of the prompt or the chat within your application. Now, if you are coding this yourself, you're going to have to kind of coordinate a number of different activities, okay? Grabbing the inputs, calling the code to run the tool, passing the context and the conversation history backwards and forwards to the LLM. And kind of like, you typically will have a number of tools, not just one. So managing all those tools. So this multi-step kind of process is made much easier by the Amplify AI kit. And so you just define the tools in your conversation root definition. And currently the tools, there are 3 tools you can use. The first are kind of like the references to data models like we've seen already. The second one are custom queries which you can run, which we're going to see coming up. And the third one, which we're not going to cover in this talk, is Lambda tools that allow you to actually run and execute simple tasks. So we're going to look at some code. So let's look at this. So this is the code that you saw from Julian. And we've just added a bit. We've added a tool section. So let's explore this code now. So we've got this tool section. Within this tool section, we've defined a reference to the workout data model. Okay, so the workout object in this application has workout items, but we want to reference that specific thing. And we list an operation. Now, with this particular one, the only current operation that's available is list. And we give it a name. So this, in this instance, search workout. And then this is an important one. We then define a description for it. And this is going to be used by the Amplify AI kit to know when to trigger this particular action. So let's look at actually, after we've added that code, let's see actually how this works. So we've got the name of the full body workout. and we're going to ask it, tell me about a full body workout. And that is what the LM is going to use to know to use that tool. Now, one thing that I forgot to mention at the beginning is that the code for this demo is available on a GitHub repo. So if you're interested in kind of dissecting it and trying to run it yourself, which I had a lot of fun doing yesterday, then it's available for you to check out. So we can see there that it's basically referred to the data in our own application as part of that chat. Okay, so that was a look at how you could implement kind of a model tool. Now we're going to look at actually how you can implement a query tool. So for example, maybe I want to access some private data that my organization has. So in this instance, let's say we've got a super secret spreadsheet that has all the gyms, all the equipment, and the locations, right? So something that we want to use, we don't want to make it public, but we only want to use that within the context of this application. Now, there is a AWS service knowledge bases for Amazon Bedrock. Is here to help us. And this is where you can give foundational models the ability to interact with your own private data through kind of retrieval augmented generation. There are 4 key components really to Bedrock. The first is that it is a managed kind of end-to-end RAG workflow. It allows you to securely connect your foundation models to data sources. So it ensures that the protection of your data. Third, it allows you to retrieve the relevant pieces of information to help and augment your prompts. And then finally, it provides source attribution, which can be important based on your application, where you need to provide a link to validate where the information it's part of the response is coming from. So I'm going to walk you through, for those people who aren't familiar with how RAG systems work. We typically start off with data. So in this instance, it's our private gym information. And what the kind of data ingestion workflow does is it will break that document down into a bunch of smaller pieces, which is called chunking. And there are very different ways you can do that chunking, and it's kind of like up to you to know and understand the knowledge of the information and data that you have. What we then do is we then take a look at the kind of embeddings that we're going to use within our foundation model, and that will convert that into a numerical sort of format, which we can then use later on and store it in a vector database. When it comes to actually how we use this, a user, when they enter kind of a prompt, as part of the prompt, a semantic search will take that prompt, convert that through the same embeddings model we've used to convert the data, and then retrieve from the vector store the relevant information that it thinks is needed to augment the prompt. That, together with the initial user prompt, provides this additional context, so the prompt augmentation, which then gets submitted to the large language model, and then you get the response. So that's kind of like RAG in a nutshell. So this is our super secret list. So any real name gym is purely coincidental. But it can be in a number of different formats. Okay, so here we've got cities, gym names, and exercise equipments. And when I was doing this, I tried both CSV files, Excel files, and they kind of all work. I'm going to walk you through the process. And what I've done is I've taken that file and I've put it in an S3 bucket. I've then gone to the AWS console, to the Bedrock, knowledge bases, and I'm literally going to go and use the create wizard and create this new knowledge base. So all I do is I select the S3 URI, I select the bucket that contains my file, my super secret data. I then specify which of the embedding models I want to use. So in this instance, I'm going to use the Amazon Titan model. And then I'm going to basically create my knowledge base, and that's it. Right? Super simple, super easy. This bit's been speeded up because what I've done is once I've created it, I do a sync operation. The sync operation looks at the data, creates those embeddings, stores them in the vector database, and then I'm good to go. So that's really really super simple way of providing my Amplify application with that access to that super secret gym data information. So now let's have a look at the code and how we actually integrate it. So we can see now from the previous tool that I added, there's another tool we've added. which is the workout gym knowledge base tool. So let's go through this. We specify a description. Now, this is the description, okay, that's used by the Amplify AI kit to know when to invoke this particular tool. And what happens when it matches, it will then basically fire off this query. And the query is called Search Gym. Okay, the Search Gym, again, within this application, defines what that looks like. And here, we're calling a piece of external JavaScript code. So we take the query from the prompt. We can manipulate that if we want. We can check it. And then we return a response. And again, we make sure that only those people that are authorized to do that can actually use this. And then here's the handler, which is basically, we're going to take a look at what the code looks like. And this is the code, right? So we're using the standard Bedrock, the knowledge base's kind of API to post the kind of inputs as JSON and then return the response back. So this is the standard link. So here, the knowledge base ID is actually the knowledge base ID what we created in the knowledge base console. We make sure that we package up the content, and we have to do two things. We have to basically add a link to the database, sorry, the knowledge base, and then we have to add our kind of principal data details. Now here, what you would typically do is you would not hard-coded it. You would actually generate that information from the environment the application is running. So that's that. So now let's take a look at actually that code. Now we've implemented it. We're going to basically ask it, I want to do a full body workout exercise. So it gives us that. And now we're going to say, where is the best place? Based on the type of exercise, where can we do it? And you can see now it's actually using the tool, which is then basically doing that RAG workflow. And it's basically decided that Dublin's Celtic Core Gym is one of the areas, one of the gyms that we can use. Again, that's got that information from our data, from our private data, and the Amplify AI kit has managed to secure that all for us without having to do any heavy lifting. So, AI coding. So who here has heard of Amazon Q Developer? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not surprised, okay. So it is our next generation kind of developer tool, and it works across all the software development lifecycle, from design planning through development testing and through operations. But how many of you have heard of the Amazon Q CLI? Less, okay. You definitely need to check this out, folks. This is amazing, right? So it's an open source project that you can install on your Mac, your Linux, Windows via WSL, so Windows Linux subsystem. And provides you with an incredible developer experience. So it basically takes, it has a chat interface, takes your prompt, and then has an agentic flow. We'll break that down and start writing code for you. So it's a really, really very powerful tool. It provides a couple of capabilities. First of all, allows you to do command completion. So when you install it, if you are like me and don't always remember how commands work, it will help you with the commands. It has a command translation. So how many people know every single detail of the AWS CLI? I don't. You can ask it to do Q AI and then say, list me all the ECS resources in the Stockholm region that are running a certain workload name, and it will then basically take that, translate that to an AWS CLI command, and then you can run that, execute it without having to remember that, and that's pretty cool. Or you can just use the chat interface and use it like you would any of the AI coding tools out there. Now, in this instance, we decided that we're going to use it within our code. What we want to do, I'm going to start this off. We start the QCLI through that, and we're going to basically extend the application to add tagging. Right? So when we actually create a workout, we want to tag the workout. We can see we've got a reasonably detailed prompt here. Like all AI coding tools, you should follow good prompt design. So we've been specific, but we've been detailed. And we can now see it working. Now, this is going to carry on spinning. The QCLI has a number of tools available to it. There are read tools, so it can read a file, for example, from your workspace. And it doesn't need permissions. But when it starts writing code, it was at the beginning, but you might have missed it. I was prompted, do you want to trust this tool to write code? And I can do it once, or I can let it do it every single time. So now I've trusted it, I've let it run, and it's created some code. So now let's have a look at what that actually looks like in the application. And we can see now that we've got some tags underneath our workout. And we didn't do any of the coding, right? We just let the QCLI do it from the command line. So if you're a command line person like me, then this is a really good tool, both for coding stuff, but also from operational stuff. Really, really very helpful. Now, if you're more an IDE person when you're doing applications, which is more likely if you're doing Amplify, then you can use the same tool within VS Code, JetBrains IDEs, and Eclipse. So we even support Eclipse. And it installs through a plugin through the various marketplaces out there, and provides you with a number of capabilities. It provides you with agentic flow, so you type in a chat very similar to what you saw in the text. You ask it to do something, and it will create code for you. You can follow the flow. It also has a number of agents as well, which actually it will take the prompt you give it, break it down, and start writing code, and give you the finished code for you to review afterwards. And it's powered by kind of Claude 3.7 at the moment. So here, we've shown you how you can use QCLI to add some functionality to this code in Amplify. We're now going to basically do it in the IDE. So the first thing we're going to do, and which is good practice, is to provide the AI coding tool, so Q, with context of the project. So we're asking it, tell us about this project. I want to know the code base in this current repo. So it's going to do that, and it's a good way, if you're using these tools, if you're working on code that you don't know, then this is a very good first step to try. And then what we can say is that now that we've got this, we want to add new feature. I want to add a calendar, right? So my application doesn't have a calendar at the moment, so I want to have a calendar capability. So let's have a look at that. And we're going to say at workspace. At workspace means that take a look at all the files in the current workspace, and then I'm going to provide an equally detailed prompt, again, asking very specifically what I want to do. And now, so this is actually sped up. So when you see it blinking like that, this actually code has been sped up. And we can now see it's actually generating code. I can review the code, review the diffs. If I want to, I can also undo the code if I'm not happy with the code. You can see the undo feature there. And this is only going to take a few more minutes, hopefully. And then, there we go, it's still working. Normally, I actually do this live sometimes, and it's very unpredictable, so I should really know how long it's going to take. But we can see it's finished, and then it provides us a nice summary of what it's done. So let's see what this actually looks like. So back to our wonderful workout app. And we can now see we have got a calendar added. Now, the project repo, I told you there's a repo that the code consists. That does not contain the tags or the calendar. So you can try that at home if you want. So where to next?
Well, how can you actually do more with your own applications? Well, here are some resources. Ricardo mentioned the middle one, which is the AI Workout app source code. So this is available on GitHub. Give it a try. It's a great way to explore this use case and also delve into the code. And then you can also, conceptually expand it and see how the CDK part works, how the Amplify part works, how the front end works, how the back end works, and that can hopefully, spark your mind to be able to get some more ideas.
And it does work,
it
right?
Does, yeah.
Because we tried it. we tried it because we didn't want to stand here in front of you and say something without trying it. So it works.
Definitely. But make sure you enable your models.
Yeah. So that's a good point, yeah. So it didn't work initially until we fixed that.
Yeah. So also the left is the Amplify documentation. This is a great resource. And if you can even have a look, it's called docs.amplify.aws. So it's not even on the normal documentation AWS site, because the Amplify docs are written specifically for developers in mind and actually done really well. And then on the right-hand side, you have got the Amplify AI landing kit page. Also gives you information on how it all works. So just quick hands up, has anybody done any Amplify AI coding before with the AI kit? No, is anybody encouraged or enthused to try something after our talk?
Yeah, well, yes.
Well, that's good. That would be a fail, I can imagine.
Happy days.
So yeah, we appreciate your enthusiasm. So also a Builder ID. This is a fantastic resource that's even going to get better over the lifetime of AWS. Currently, you can use a Builder ID. It gives you access to many skill builder courses. It gives you access to Amazon Q in the IDE and within the CLI. So you need an Amazon Builder ID login. But going into the future, we're hoping to be able to make this the one-stop shop for a single ID. Because I'm sure when you register for Q and you register for the summit, in every event you use a different ID, and that's annoying. This Builder ID is going to be the future thing that's going to tie all of your personal identity together via AWS. So it's worth signing up for it. Doesn't cost anything, and it's going to make your life a little bit easier. You've made it to the last session of the day. We super appreciate you spending your time with us today. We would most appreciate a review in the session app. It tells us the kind of things you like. If you appreciated this talk, that would be super appreciated. All I'm really asking for me is, have we done enough AI coding that I can go out and have another cinnamon bun and not feel guilty about it? Not quite sure. We'll have to work that out.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, what I would say is the camera angles I've got here, I think they're doing half the job for us. So,
thank you for the slimming camera.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for enjoying the summit today.
Thank you for coming.